Yo, what's good everyone, it's Zigzag here, welcome back to another Geoguessr video, and welcome to a pretty special video. So, as many of you guys would know, the biggest, most populous, and probably most beautiful country that is not on Google Street View is China. And therefore, there is no China in Geoguessr, which is a massive shame, but understandable due to geopolitical circumstances. Well, there is a way to geoguess in China, and it's on this website called tusun.fun. Now, this is essentially the Chinese version of Geoguessr, and you do need a Chinese mobile number in order to sign up. Fortunately for this video, we have an account set up ready for us, but let's go ahead and play Street View in China. This is my first proper time trying it. Guys, before we get into the rest of the video, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, which is Surfshark VPN. Now, in my opinion, these days, when you're browsing the internet, it's essential to have a VPN on your side. Companies are frequently using your geographical location to block you from certain content or to hike prices on certain services. And this is where Surfshark VPN comes in. With over 100 secure locations around the world, you can easily optimize your purchase or access blocked content by changing where you are so that you can have your best experience online. And I can tell you, whenever I next book international flight tickets, I'm going to do it through Surfshark VPN to try and get myself the best deal. Surfshark also has 24-hour customer service and a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk when you sign up for a subscription. And in addition to that, when you sign up with the code ZIGZAG, as you can see on screen here, you will get an extra 4 months of Surfshark, which is a great offer. So yeah, guys, if you're interested in getting the Surfshark VPN, there will be a link in the top of the description as well as in the pinned comment. And thank you again to Surfshark for sponsoring the video. And here we go. We're in Street View in China, guys. We are on Baidu Maps. Both Baidu and Tencent, two big Chinese companies, have done their own Street View. I believe Tencent's is a bit higher quality. I'm not sure if we'll get any Tencent inside here, but regardless, Baidu will do fine. Now, also worth noting is that the map is entirely in Chinese, and I don't know anything about Chinese, so that's unfortunate, but we're gonna do our best here. Immediately, I got more of a north vibe. Like, these trees, they felt more maybe like a colder climate, and it is pretty flat over in the distance there. I wonder if, these poles are regional specific or something. You just don't know until you've played a lot of a country, but for us, we're not quite sure. Interesting, they're using all white road lines here. My idea was up towards Shanghai, but I don't know. I think this is Shanghai here on the map. I'm not even sure, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's on a highway here. Not the most interesting round, I'll admit. We're going north-south, and look how many major highways there are in China, especially in this flat part. It is insane. But let us go on the G2 north of, I think that's Shanghai.
No.
And see how close we are here. Will it be a good first guess? Confirming selection, it was on this northern flat plateau, but quite a bit further down south. And you'll have to forgive me, I do not know what cities these are here. No doubt they're absolutely huge, but yeah, I don't know. To be honest though, not the worst score ever. This time, we are in a city, yellow road lines this time. Okay, interesting. Back in the Baidu coverage here. Okay, definitely mountainous here. The game has changed to Chinese. I guess I can probably go through after each game and switch back to English. But yeah, to our south, we have some pretty big mountains here. Again, it kind of strikes me as colder, but it's gonna be much easier for me to use the climate in the flat plains over here by the Yangtze River and everything. Once we're in the mountains, my gauge for the climate and everything is not gonna be too useful, I feel. But it doesn't feel like a massive city, although it's probably still more than 100,000 people, I would assume. Blue number plates on the cars here. That is the standard Chinese plate. Now, sometimes you will see unblurred versions, and in those versions, they actually do write the province on the plate. So if you're lucky, you could come across one of those. Unfortunately, I'd have to really do some work to work out which one it was in anyway, so it's not really much of a concern. I'm gonna say that we are inland and not too far north here. I think maybe in this kind of area here is where my heart's calling me, but I have no idea, guys. So let's guess in this one. Let's actually go for a proper city guess here. Let's guess in this city here. Let's go for that one. Inside a valley. I think it looks pretty decent there. And let's find out. Okay, not too bad. Again, in the center there. Had the right kind of vibe, just a bit further north. So I guessed in Guangxi, and it was actually in Chongqing. Okay, interesting. So we actually do get that info. Chongqing was the province there. All right, loaded into the next one here. We got yellow road lines again. So it seems like that is the most common way they're doing it in China. And we have some big exposed rock here. I feel like this kind of thing is super common in China. Would be a really good meta for NMPZ China if we had NMPZ China, of course. It definitely feels a bit warmer this time. We have like these massive reeds. Reminds me of a warmer climate, but then again, not super tropical or anything like that. It is quite flat here. It's a bit polluted as well, so I can't really tell what the topography is this direction. Somewhat hilly, and over this direction seems pretty flat. So likely some kind of a coastal large city here. I'm kind of tending towards down here. It almost looks a bit similar kind of climate to Taiwan, but doesn't really feel like down towards Hong Kong in my opinion. So I like this kind of thing here. The question is it flat enough by this city? Maybe. We're going like northeast here, and it is a pretty big bridge, so why don't we actually pick a bridge that fits here? I'm liking the look of this one. Guys, the chance that we're actually correct here is slim to 0, I would say, but let's find out. And okay, it was a lot further inland here. Still, the guesses have all been somewhat decent, I would say. So we guessed in Fujian here, and the actual one was Hubei, and we're right on the entrance to the mountains inside the delta kind of region here. So that's an interesting one for sure. Good to know that it can look so kind of tropical and warm inland like that. If it ever comes out on Street View, I'll try and remember that. But anyway, here we're back in the Baidu coverage here. This is much more rural, much more agricultural. We have a lot of apartment buildings as you would commonly see in China, I think. But beyond that, there is not much to go off of here, that's for sure. I'm trying to figure out whether I think it would be a difficult or an easy country. I feel like it's more on the difficult side for sure. Just with so much population inside the mountains, it's kind of like Japan, except much bigger in that respect, I would say. And also reading Chinese would be a big advantage, but that would take some serious learning. So I wonder if anyone would actually do that if it came out in the game. I'm thinking actually more northern here. I don't see any palm trees or anything. We have the cypresses, which I think we saw last time around the Hubei. I think that's where this one was. So I'm thinking that kind of thing, but just a bit further north this time. Maybe like between Shanghai and Hubei here. I think that's my guess. It's just a fairly standard hedge here. Let's see. And okay, it was very similar to the last Hubei because it was actually there. So we went Henan, and it was actually Hubei, but just a bit further east this time. Still a good guess, and I had the right vibe. I just didn't trust myself enough. So let's go in again here. See if we can actually get a province streak, because that's what this mode actually is, but we have not guessed the province yet at all. Anyway, this one is looking pretty interesting, I would say. We got a bunch of stuff going on here. New infrastructure, as you so commonly see in China. Bunch of buildings under construction. You can see the cranes in the background here. Very, very typical of China, I would say. And it is a marvelous country, really. Oh, look, a huge bridge here. The scale, this is just a random panorama in China, and you can see a massive bridge. I mean, that just goes to show how far China has come. Actually, craziness. Anyhow though, whereabouts are we here? The mountains are not too tall, I've noticed. So I'm wondering, like, this kind of region here, it looks like the mountains are not too tall. I feel like this could be a good guess. The difficulty here is that none of the vegetation is particularly close. So I'm struggling to pick up a vibe off it, but yeah, I'm still gonna guess here. Let's see how close this one ends up being in these shorter hills. And again, not too bad, just one province over. Definitely these smaller hills seem to be common in these two provinces here, whatever they may be. Okay, here we go. So it's actually, so I guessed Hunan again, and it was actually Guizhou here. So interesting. All right, 20 minutes has passed in the meantime, and thanks to Jupa and Kaka and some of the other people over at Tucson, I've been able to get the premium version of Tucson here. So we're playing with the higher quality coverage now, which is very nice. Let's get back to guessing, shall we? This one's interesting. We can almost make out the number plate here. I think maybe on this 10-cent coverage, they don't blur the number plates as much, so could be useful here. Again, we've got low hills here, and these are very green to be sure. We got a bunch of bamboo. So bamboo in Japan is more so in the south. So I'm assuming that for China, it might be the same, like more so in the south of the country. Could be the case. As has been pretty usual, we're on a big highway here. The buildings, they also kind of vibe southern to me, though I'm really not sure at all. So I think I will go in this kind of region. It definitely looks like the stuff we saw just recently here. So I'll go for that. And it was actually quite southern there, but even more so down near towards Hong Kong. So that's Hong Kong, that's Macau. We're right on the border with Macau. So what's it? Shenzhen, Guangzhou that are down here. I think, what is it? That's Guangzhou, is that Shenzhen? I can't remember, guys, but definitely down towards those. And look, we're actually doing 5 rounds here. That was a 2,000 point score on round 1. So let's see if we can get like a 10,000 point score overall here. I think that'll be a pretty good result. And actually, look at this. This is pretty good Street View coverage. This almost looks like Generation 4 coverage. Okay. Was not expecting we'd see stuff this good. And for that reason, we can almost make out what's written on the back of this truck, but the zooming is not quite as good on here. Okay, so we're in the mountains here. We have a bunch of eucalyptus trees here, I think. I did not know that our Australian trees grow in China like that. I think those are eucalyptus though, which is fascinating. I've got a bunch of red brick buildings here, almost reminiscent of some of the stuff you'd see in like Southern Korea, but obviously different to be sure as well. We've got a concrete road here, which is interesting. I wonder what proportion of the roads are concrete concrete in China. But yeah, this is definitely difficult. I don't think it gives me a massive south vibe despite these trees, which might be eucalyptus. I'm thinking a bit further into the mountains here, maybe, indeed. It almost gives me like an Andes, like a Peruvian vibe in a way. So I'm thinking like quite mountainous, quite into the mountains, indeed. Maybe like around here could work quite nicely, or maybe even a bit further north in these mountains here. I don't know. Why don't I try it? I'm gonna go a bit further north, trust my vibes, go a bit further north into the mountains here. Wouldn't be surprised if it's just these mountains down here again though. And it was very south compared to what I thought. Down here again, not quite sure what this city is, but definitely had the wrong vibe there. So only 700 points. That's okay though. And we've got a very unique round here. Wow, look at this. So clearly we're out in the west here. This is 100% in like one of these, provinces out here. It almost feels quite Mongolian as well. So maybe even Inner Mongolia. That's one of the provinces I know the name of. This one's Inner Mongolia. Okay, and we got some very interesting language here. I don't know, could it be Tibetan? When I watched Alok play this Chinese map, that's where I got the inspiration for this video. He was mentioning that Tibet has its own script. So potentially that, or potentially not that, I'm not quite sure. Tibet is very mountainous, the entire province, I would say. So much more likely that we're up here on one of these Great Plains. West, we see complete flatness, but we're on a hill ourselves. So that's kind of interesting here. Yeah, I don't know, it's just hard to make out what this writing actually is. I think I will try this province here, whatever it's called. And maybe this direction here in a town like that. I feel like, hedges pretty nicely. It looks like Mongolia, but I imagine this section of the country also looks like Mongolia. So let's give that a go. Ooh, not too bad there. Okay, we're on a lake. Very like Kyrgyzstan kind of vibe. Almost looks like Issyk-Kul, this lake over here. Very similar kind of vibe, but a bit more Mongolian. It really makes sense to me. And we don't get too many points there, only 800. But to be fair, quite a difficult round if you're not practicing Western China. This is more like it though. We're in a big city here. Unfortunately, most of the license plates are blurred here, so we can't do any cheekiness. But this is fascinating, right, guys? I love looking at what kind of cars they have in China. So this one's a BYD. Build your dreams. I don't know how common they are in the US or Europe or wherever you're watching from, but in Australia, we have a lot of those now. They're very common on the roads in the last few years. We have a Peugeot with Chinese characters. That's crazy. And we've got, this looks like a VW, but it might be a knockoff. I don't know what's going on with this logo. Maybe something building in conjunction with VW. Not sure. We got another VW here, a few VWs. They're pretty common, actually. Are these EVs or not? Or are these petrol? I don't know. Anyway, enough about the cars. What about the actual round here itself? Well, we've got a very unique pole top here. This one reminds me of the Punjab pole top in India. That's so funny. No relation whatsoever, but they coincidentally look pretty similar. The vibes here are more northern to me. Maybe it's just because it's like the early springtime with the blossoms here, but it looks more like a northern city to me, I would say. No idea if that's actually going to be reality or not, but it's kind of hilly, which is concerning me a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. The hilliness would definitely be more common in the south, right? So I think, yeah, I don't know. The hilliness would be more common in the south. So I'm not really sure what to do with that information. I'm still going to trust my vibes here. I still think it looks more northern. It kind of feels like middle Japan if I'm trying to like use a familiar latitude. So I'm going to go outside of Beijing here in a smaller city that's like near the hills here. I feel like that could be a good shout. I'm committing pretty far north here. And it was south anyway. Okay, well, right down near the Vietnamese border there. I guess we were in the mountains, so that explains it. A fairly big city there. Not quite sure what it was. But yeah, let's head through to the next one here. Obviously, terrible score there. We're gonna struggle to make our goal score of 10,000 here, as it would happen. But again, really nice quality coverage here. This feels like it's gonna be out on the Great Plain here. What's what I'm calling the Delta. It feels very much like the western part of Taiwan, but I could definitely see it being quite a bit further north here, but it also definitely makes sense to me that it would be further north. Like, it also feels quite a lot like Taiwan, quite a lot like Japan. I bet this is helpful if you could read. Like, I bet that says the address or something, but as for us, we're stuck with the vibes here, and I don't see anything better than kind of clicking in the middle of the flatness here. Like, this is dead flat, pretty agricultural, I imagine, so this should be a decent score at least. And it was actually up towards Beijing this time, so much further north than Taiwan or even the Japanese parts I was thinking of. Growing corn this far north is very interesting to me because if I think about the latitude, oh wait, never mind. It's just like the normal corn growing latitude in Europe, so I guess that makes perfect sense in hindsight. Headed forth to, I guess, a new game. Okay, never mind. So wait, was that round 5? I guess it was. I did not get my total score, but it definitely wasn't 10k. Let's see what we can do here. We got a bunch of willow trees, I would say here, right? Or whatever these ones are. Maybe not willows, but but we definitely have these in Australia. Let me know if you know what they are. And it's a big city, though I have no idea how to guess this one. It feels maybe pretty central to me. It's pretty flat. We got a blue roof. I wonder if blue roofs are more regional in China, but I don't really see anything better than going for like a flat bit, but a bit further north here, just because it reminded me a little bit of like Kyrgyzstan kind of latitude here. So let's find out. And yeah, that was a good guess. Finally, 3,100 points. That's what I'm talking about, guys. Look how close I was. Okay. All right. Headed through to the next round. Let's see if we can repeat that kind of form. That's what I'm talking about. It's in the winter, so it's going to be harder to judge. Oh, we had these cypresses. They were towards Hubei last time, if I remember the name of the province correctly, or was it Hainan, or I can't remember. Okay, anyway, very flat to be sure. Again, doesn't really give me too much of a vibe. Definitely like a second or third tier city, nothing too major here, that's for sure. And we do have some slight hilliness, okay, to our west, and that could be quite useful. I think I will go over this direction here in the flat bit, but towards the foothills over here. I think this should be a decent guess. And yeah, it was unfortunately quite a bit further north here. It did feel north, to be fair, but yeah, not really sure how to do that one. That's still 1,000 points, it's not too bad, but I guess the east of China is much easier than the west in terms of scoring. Anyway, let's head through here to this next one. Again, the coverage quality on the Tencent stuff is legitimately good. It's just zooming in that it's a bit weaker, but yeah, I definitely think this is very playable. Better than Generation 3 even, I would say. Anyhow here, what are we vibing? This one immediately gave me a little bit more of a south vibe, but looking around, I'm struggling to justify it. And did we have like this kind of spruce-ish looking tree, which probably, if anything, looks a bit further north? Can we see any address? I don't know how they would format an address in Chinese, so it probably wouldn't help me even if I found one. Like, that could be an address for all I know, but I really have no idea. Though it almost certainly isn't. That's an ad. Anyway, concrete road. We saw that in the south last time, I want to say. I don't know, guys. I'm feeling like it's another round where I'm just tempted to click in this section of the country here. I'm actually going back on my south vibe. I think now that I see these spruces, I want to go a bit further north. It doesn't feel particularly rich. So yeah, I feel like this kind of inland guess towards the mountains here is going to be decent again. And okay, not too bad there. 2,900 points. Yeah, got the right idea. And we are now on 7,200 points. Okay, this time actually, I think we got south vibes. Reason being, it feels very lush. We've got a lot of different crops growing here. We've got corn. We've got some other things. What are these stalks? I don't know what those are. Is that even sugarcane? I think we've actually got sugarcane here. I'm not sure where in China you would get sugarcane, but it definitely would check out that it's probably the south. And we see a huge city here. Now, the problem is, in most countries, that would be like perfect info, but in China, there are so many huge cities that I really don't know what to trust about that. I want to go down here again, though. I want to go near Guangzhou. I think that's, or Shenzhen, whichever one it is. I think, no, this is Guangzhou, right? I don't know, guys. Or maybe it's all one. I really don't know, but I'll check on the map after. I want to go down there. I want to say it. It's fairly flat. North is also flat, which is, I guess, the problem here, but I guess we can kind of guess between. And what I'm just saying is it's got big south vibes here. That's my opinion. I bet like these pole tops are useful. I would love to look into some Chinese pole tops if we had it on Geoguessr, but for now, we're just gonna have to guess on here, and I'm thinking like anywhere along this southern coast, maybe even over towards this city or something, but let's go with my selection here. And it's unfortunately not. Still technically southern China, I guess, or middle. And I'm pretty sure it was sugarcane, but to be honest, if I think about latitude, that's similar to North India, where they also grow sugarcane, so it's no surprise that they're growing it there. Now we're up to what should be round 5 of 5, and we are back in western China here. You can tell that by these dry mountains, I would say. Definitely, again, kind of a Kyrgyzstan vibe here. We're going north-south in a valley. So that should be very useful, because if you look out here in Western China, a lot of these valleys are kind of east-west. So this north-south valley may be somewhat unique even, I could say. Well, this valley's north-south, but I feel like this valley that I've clicked on is a bit too narrow for what we're at right now. This valley here on the GO615, that could be more like it. I don't know, it's very hard for me to say without experience, but these mountains are pretty big, and maybe the mountains I'm clicking near here are not big enough, to be honest. What about this one? The G109? Is that a railway next to us? Because it looks like the G109 might have a railway or something next to it. That being said, I really don't mind it. The shape of the mountains are much more in line with what I would expect to see. So I may actually go for this one here. I'll be annoyed if I switched off the correct answer. Let's find out. And oh my gosh, we actually guessed the right road here. It was the G109, just a bit further south there. So there we go. And that was round 5 of 5. We ended with a score of 12,100. So let's go to the review button here. And so this is the review. Very nice, honestly. Got the right vibes there. I feel like with China, this whole eastern section is fairly straightforward. The mountainous part is really hard. And then the west of China, you just have to learn all the roads and the landscapes and stuff. But I'm pretty proud of this guess. I gotta say, that's definitely the guess of the video. Guys, if you enjoyed this, let me know. If you want to see me do some more content on the China map, you know what to do in the comments. Shout outs also to the people at Tucson for giving me access to this. If you're in China, go check it out yourself, tucson.fun. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.